You see now the different types of decimal numbers. The first one is terminating decimals. The decimal numbers which have end in their decimal place are called terminating decimals. For example, 0.7. This decimal place end by 7. And another number 1.239. This decimal part end by 9. And another number 123.009. This decimal place is again end with 9. This type of decimal numbers which have end in their decimal place are called terminating decimals. And we know that any terminating decimal can be written in the form of p by q, can be written in a fraction form. So it is called a rational number. Dear students, if any number can be written in the form of p by q, where p and q are integers and q not equal to 0, then such numbers are called rational numbers. Good. Now you see, the 0.7 can be written in the fraction form as 7 by 10. 7 by 10 is in the form of p by q. Therefore, is it a rational number? Good, it is a rational number. Similarly, 1.239 can also be written in the form of a fraction as 1239 divided by 1000. Therefore, any terminating decimal can be written in the form of p by q, which represents a rational number. Every terminating decimal can be written in the form of p by q. Therefore, it is a rational number. And the second type is non-terminating recurring decimal. Non-terminating, the name itself indicates non-terminating, means it has no end. The decimal number that continues infinitely with repeated pattern is called recurring decimal. Recurring decimal means repeated pattern. Recurring decimal can also be called as repeating decimal. Non-terminating repeating decimal or non-terminating recurring decimal, both are same. A decimal number that continues infinitely with repeated pattern. You can observe this example 0.333 and so on. This 3 is repeating. Therefore, it is called recurring decimal. And is there any end? We have 0.333 and so on. There is no end. Therefore, it is non-terminating. And since the decimal place 3 is repeating, it is called non-terminating recurring decimal. And another example is 12.153535353 and so on. This decimal number is also has no end. It continues up to infinity. Therefore, it is non-terminating. And at the same time, the decimal part of 53 is repeating. 535353. 53 is repeating. Therefore, it is a recurring decimal. A decimal number that continues infinitely with repeated pattern are called non-terminating recurring decimals. Now, note, any non-terminating repeating decimal can also be written in the form of p by q. You can write every non-terminating recurring decimal as a fraction in the form of p by q. As it is written in the form of p by q, so you can call it as a rational number. It also comes under rational numbers. For example, 0.3333 and so on. This can be written in the form of p by q. If you divide 1 by 3, then what will be the quotient? You once check. If you divide 1 by 3, you will get 0.333 and so on. It has no end. Therefore, it is non-terminating. And this 3 is repeating. Therefore, it is non-terminating recurring decimal. Every non-terminating repeating decimal can be written in the form of p by q. Therefore, it is a rational number. Now, the third type of decimal numbers are non-terminating and non-recurring decimals. A decimal number that continues infinitely without repeated pattern. Without repeated pattern is called non-terminating and non-recurring decimals. For example, 0.34132 and so on. Here no part of this decimal part is repeating, therefore it is non-recurring decimal, and at the same time there is no end to this decimal part, therefore it is non-terminating non-recurring decimal. Any non-terminating and non-recurring decimal cannot be written in the form of p by q. You cannot write it in the form of a fraction. Any non-terminating non-repeating decimal cannot be written in the form of p by q. Since it cannot be written in the form of p by q, it is not a rational number. So if a number is not rational, then how can you call it? Yes, good. If a number is not rational, then you can call it as an irrational number. Therefore, out of all the three types of decimal numbers, first two types, that is terminating decimals and non-terminating recurring decimals, can be written in the form of p by q, and they are rational numbers. And the third part, and the third type, non-terminating non-recurring decimal, as it cannot be written in the form of p by q, it is not a rational number and it is an irrational number. Is it clear now, students? Is it clear? Can you understand what are the different types of decimal numbers? And out of all the three, what type of decimal numbers are rational numbers and what type of decimal numbers are irrational numbers? Can you distinguish between the different types of decimal numbers? Good. Okay. Thank you, one and all.